AITA for choosing my pregnant wife over my mom. Some backstory. My mom was a traditional, helicopter mom, growing up, and even though I'm almost 30, continues to struggle with control issues and not having as much of a say in my life as she used to. And struggles that she is not my go-to person anymore. 6 years ago, me and my wife got together, and once it became serious, I started to put our relationship as a priority. My mom expresses disdain for my wife and for my attention being on my wife and not her. Gets upset that I use vacation time to spend with my wife rather than for family vacations. Would constantly complain that I don't visit home enough, etc. It has been very difficult on my wife throughout our relationship to feel like my parents don't approve of her or our relationship. When I told my parents I was going to propose, they tried to sabotage it and told me I was too young. When we bought our first house, they told me we were making a mistake. When we made the decision to move to another state, we were met with a lot of guilt for abandoning the family, and in general we have not gotten a lot of support from my family, specifically my mom, when making big decisions. Me and my wife found out she's pregnant a couple months ago and decided to wait until she was 12 weeks along to tell friends and family. We told her parents first, and that took a lot out of her. They reacted well, but it was emotionally exhausting and she had a rough first trimester, so she just didn't have a lot of energy in general. We were obviously planning on telling my family shortly after, and my wife expressed concern about their lack of support for big life decisions and said she didn't know if she had it in her to be a part of telling my parents. She also doesn't like being the center of attention, so being pregnant has been difficult in that sense as well. After talking about it for a bit, I decided to do a family FaceTime call with my parents and siblings to tell them the good news. They reacted fine but weren't as excited as my wife's parents. My wife was napping when I told them. Now my mom is telling me she's upset that we didn't tell them in person and that my wife wasn't a part of conversation. I explained that my wife was having a rough time and felt uncomfortable with that, so I was going to do whatever made her the most comfortable. She is my priority. My mom is insisting that her own needs are just as important in this scenario and that I should have been more considerate and should have known it would upset her to hear the news over FaceTime. She also insinuated that my wife steamrolled me in this scenario and that I shouldn't just defer to her when making decisions. I tried to explain that my wife asking this of me was not steamrolling me and that I made the decision to do this based on her comfort. Am I the asshole for putting my wife's concerns, comfort over my mom's feelings? NTA. Your mother doesn't have any needs when it comes to your wife's pregnancy. She has wants, and she needs to grow TF up and realize it's time for her to be nothing more than a spectator in your life now. That's what parenting is, eventually. You're just a spectator. My mom is insisting that her own needs are just as important in this scenario and that I should have been more considerate and should have known it would upset her to hear the news over FaceTime. Sorry, Grandma, but nope. Maybe she should have thought of how she'd feel in this situation before she spent the last 6 years treating your wife like garbage. It would probably be a good idea to tell Grandma early and often that she will not be present for the birth of the baby. NTA. Tell your mom to seek therapy. She has some very serious issues that she needs to address. NTA. I'm living this now with a wife and my mom. Actually just banished my mom from my house. It's painful. NTA. Definitely NTA. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Your mom will have to get used to it. Her behavior is going to put an even bigger gap in her relationship with you and your wife. NTA. Your mother is a narcissist through and through. I'm sorry you've had to deal with that. I've been there. Your wife and child should be your first priority. As it seems no matter what, she does not support you making your own decisions. I really hope you are able to set boundaries or just completely disengage from her. I wish you, your wife and your future child all the best. Thank you for the award. Kind stranger. Winking face. Note. Edited to add comment. NTA. Your mom is being childish and needs to give you space. Of course your wife is your priority. That's how it should be. NTA. If this boundary isn't established now, it will inevitably lead to the destruction of your marriage. Your mom has yet to come to terms with you being an adult and most likely needs a wake-up call. I'm a grandma and I say NTA. I watched my son-in-law go through this and mirror her more with his mom and began to talk with him about how he had the right to set and enforce boundaries with her. It wasn't easy for him, but he is so much happier and able to get his blood pressure down enough to where his doc took him off the meds he'd been on. As I told him, you and your wife hold the cards here. Parents remain in their adult kids' lives and their minor grandkids' lives only if the adult kids allow it. Just as you will teach your child boundaries and enforce them, you can practice that skill on your parents. Best wishes. NTA. All you have to do is read in the just normal sub to read how mama's boys and girls mess up their own marriages by not prioritizing their spouse over their parents. You did the correct thing by following your wife's wishes. She's growing an entire person inside her and will need your support going forward. She knew your mother would be exhausting and no pet out altogether. She knew. I'm sure your mother has shown her hand before. Support your wife. Keep your mother in her lane. Happy wife equals happy life. Grandmother's experiences are not as important as new mothers. NTA. Finally. A husband who sticks up for his wife. I love it. Your mother screwed herself out of an in-person meeting LMAO. If she hadn't been so childish and been a needy, controlling mother, she would have gotten a better announcement. She's upset that your wife is your priority and rightly so she should be. You have chosen to create a life with your wife and your mother needs to suck it up. It's not about her and she needs to grow up. I firmly believe that when you choose to get married, your spouse takes priority and your parents need to realize that. It's life. I'm certain your mother would not want her mill butting in every step of the way. You're doing great. Support your wife and keep the negative vibes aka your mother away from her. NTA. What you're feeling is the result of all those years of your mom making you think she is the only, most important woman in your life. That might have been okay when you were a baby. But we all grow out of this. It's part of life to let go and make new relationships that, yes, make a new cycle. So now your wife and child are the most important people in your life. And yep, when baby is born your wife will be the most important woman in their life. On and on. Your mom could do with some help or she's in for a bad time. Stay low contact. It will be healthier for everyone. NTA. Your wife as number one, period. Not your mom. NTA. I'm not pregnant and don't even have to deal with your mother. And she has already exhausted me with her self-centered bullshit. She has no needs. Her appetite for attention is not a medical condition. NTA. It's more important that I get a say in how you tell me your wife is pregnant than how she feels about telling me the news about her own body and family is never going to win the day. I'm sorry your family is so unsupportive. I too have been realizing that my mom's behaviors are not always in my best interest and sidelines. I need to protect my partner from her. So I empathize. NTA, your mom has to cut the cord, yeesh. Your mom's needs are not at all important in this situation in the slightest. NTA. NTA. Your mom needs to grow up. NTA. Your wife and your new baby are the new priority, not your mom. She needs to find a hobby or therapy. NTA. Your mother is an abuser and gaslighter. Set really clear boundaries now, or she is going to make your life hell when the baby arrives. You owe it to your wife to be firm and clear and stick to it. If your mother continues her behavior, tell her she will not be seeing her grandchild. Your marriage probably depends on it.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.